this video, we're going to go over using database functions in Excel, which really saves you a lot of time in calculating some of the search for specific data in your Excel file. And you can use the database sum, you can use the database average, the minimum, max, and the count and count A in the database. So let us just take a look at what is the argument for this data. So let me go back to your Excel file. And from your Excel file, if you want to practice before while using this video, make sure to select the total quantity tab. In this specific data, so what you have here, you have a data that we're going to call a database, just as any normal data in Excel. This data has a data item, it has the item ID, the name of the item, the unit of price of that item, how many quantity in the stock is available for each item, reorder level, reorder time in days. Now, we are asked to do the following. We want to search for the total quantity in stock for items with a price bigger than 15. So we want to know how many items in stock in this column number 4 that has values of $15 and up. Okay. Again, this is a small data. You can maybe calculate it by hand. However, usually when you have millions of records, you want Excel to do its magic. So let us understand how this function works. So we're going to return the value of that function in this place. So let us say equal. And from here, we're going to call the database. So all those functions start with D sum. Okay. The regular functions you are familiar with, sum, average, count. If you see the D, preceding that function, it means is database related. Okay, so this is our function. Now I have to mention here, whenever you are using the database functions in Excel, you have to create a place in your Excel that has exactly the same name of labels of that database that you're going to consider as database, and the information underneath it, maybe in the first row or multiple rows, those are the data that you can put as a criteria objects in your function. Those are the criteria that can be matched to return the values. Okay, I will explain in a second. So now when you use the data sum, first, as you can see, the function is asking for a database. The database we're going to use is this one. All this array is our database. Now, for that example, it was already renamed as inventory 1 just to make it easy for you. But typically, you're going to see it's from A8 column to F36 column. This is the range of the information. And remember always that you include the labels of those entries data and not only the data as we saw in other functions in Excel. So we finished the first argument value. The second one is the field that you wanted to look for. So in our case, we're gonna look for the quantity in stock. So you can use the naming that was provided here or the number, and I found it easier for me that this is a column 1, 2, 3, 4. So I will put 4, which represent the column number in this specific example. Now, the criteria. What is the criteria that you want the database sum to apply to? So we said here we wanted to do bigger than 15. Just a second. So I'm gonna just we should have put this in advance. So this is where we're gonna, let me close this in a second. So the price should be bigger than 15. We should start that actually in the exercise. So remember, you put your criteria first and then you apply the function. So here we go. We're going to go back here. I'm going to write the same formula. However, now here is not the D5. Okay, so this is equal. I'm going to repeat D sum the sum of data. Okay, and I'm gonna select again, and then comma. The field that I'm gonna apply is the column where I want to test the criteria, which is the quantity in stock, which is number 4 column. And the criteria, this is the field, the criteria that I am testing on is available in this array that we created, and we don't have to select the unit of price. Anything that it meets the area during this is criteria. So if you had more than one argument, then will be tested against. Okay, close your parentheses. Again, what you're doing here, you're telling Excel, go and look into a database that is starting from A8 to F36. It's called inventory 1, and then look into the column number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is the column you're gonna look into, and find for us which ones of those columns that their unit of price is bigger than 15, and sum them up. So let me say enter, and here is the value 152. So it found for us there is a quantity of 152 items in this database that meet the criteria that their price is bigger than 15. Okay, so let us go and see the simulation.
To use one of the database functions, begin by setting up the criteria range. The criteria range must have at least 2 rows. The first row includes labels that match the column labels in the database range. The second row is where you enter the criteria. Criteria can be numeric values, expressions, or text. After setting up the criteria range, enter the formula using one of the database functions. On the Formulas tab, in the Function Library group, click the Insert Function button to open the Insert Function dialog. If necessary, expand the or select a category list and select Database. Select the function you want, and then click OK. In the Function Arguments dialog, in the Database Argument box, enter the range of cells or the name for the data array. Include the label row. In the Field Argument box, enter the column number or the column label enclosed in quotation marks of the column containing the data to use in the calculation. In the Criteria Argument box, enter the range of cells or the name for the criteria range. Click OK. You can include multiple criteria in the criteria range. To include only data that meet all the criteria, enter multiple criteria on the same row. To include data that meet any one of multiple criteria, add more rows to the criteria range and enter each condition in a separate row.
Okay, so beside the first one, we saw additional couple of functions with different criterias.